The goat has fallen. No, not that one. Thank God, not that one. This one! Hello, everybody, and welcome to Peter Pan's Waiting Room. I'm Peter, your favorite teenager who's afraid to grow up, and today I'm going to be rambling about a giant hay goat in Sweden. It's December 27th, 2025, and I'm scrolling Tumblr because I have nothing better to do. Suddenly, my dash starts getting flooded with post after post of a giant hay goat in Sweden falling over, called the Gävle goat. But what exactly does that mean? The Gävle goat, known as Gävlebocken in Swedish, is a giant hay goat, like I said, that's built annually in Sweden as part of a Yule tradition. The goat has been built by various parties over the years, and since 1986 there have actually been two goats in Gävle, Sweden, because, one wasn't enough. One is built by a group of businessmen known as the Southern Merchants, and the other is built by a local school's natural science club. The idea of the Gävle goat came from a Swedish advertising consultant who got inspired by the country's tradition of making small hay goats and putting them in one's home to celebrate Yule. Of course, he wanted to supersize it, and so he did. He had his brother build it, and then after 1966, the Southern Merchants took over the building until 1971, when they gave up, and then the Natural Science Club did building until, like I said, in 1986, when the Southern Merchants started building it again, and that, from then on, there have been two Gävle goats in Sweden. Now, because this video is my first video, and I'm trying to keep it a little short, I'm not going to go over the full history of the Gävle goat, I'm just going to go over my favorite parts. But if you're curious, then you should definitely go read through the Wikipedia page, because there are so many funny things that have occurred to it that you should definitely check out. There tends to be more information about the goat as the years progress due to the invention and popularization of the internet, and with that, let's get into it. In 1966, the first Gävle goat is built and then burned, starting the tradition. And then, in 1973, after it had been burned several times after that, a guy steals it with his truck and puts it in his backyard. He gets caught, obviously, and is sentenced to 2 years in prison. In 1966, another incident involving a car occurs when a student hits the Gävle goat with a Volvo. This is just too good. Now, in 1988, it actually wasn't burnt down, but I'm including this year because English bookkeepers made it so that you could gamble on the fate of the goat. Now it's the year 2000, the new millennium, and the Gävle goat gets thrown in the river, and the Southern Merchants goat gets burnt down as usual. 2000 year was a pretty crazy year for the Gävle goat because arsonists dressed as Santa and the gingerbread man shot a flaming arrow at it and it burnt down. How Christmassy. 2009 was another wild year because the Southern Merchants goat had an attempt to be burnt down, but that failed. Then the Natural Science Club's goat, someone tried to throw it in the river, but that didn't work, so the same guy that tried to throw it in the river set it on fire, which didn't work. Then it got stolen, and I don't know what happened to it after that, but then the Southern Merchants goat got burnt down because the webcams that were added in 1966 ended up getting hacked. In 2010, the goat survived again, but I wanted to include this year because someone tried to bribe a guard so that they could steal it with a helicopter, and honestly I'm a little disappointed that that didn't happen just because, how often is a hay goat stolen with a helicopter? In 2011, someone had a really good idea to just coat the goat in water, because then it couldn't catch on fire because of the ice. Of course, it still caught on fire because the ice melted because it was kind of a warm year. In 2013, the people who set the goat on fire actually filmed themselves doing it, so they got caught pretty easily. It's 2015, and a drunk guy is seen fleeing the scene of the crime where the goat has been burnt down. He smells like gasoline, has a singed face, and he's holding a lighter. When he was interrogated by the police, he said, and I quote, that it was a very bad idea. Indeed, my good man, indeed. In 2023, the hay that they used to build the goat had more seed than usual, and jackdaws, which are a bird in Sweden, ended up pecking it to bits. It wasn't completely destroyed, but a good part of it was because of birds. No fire, just birds. In 2024, the goat actually survived, but a deepfake hoax was spread on social media about it burning down. I wrote in my notes, #technology, so I guess I'll say that. #technology. I have no clue if I'm in camera or not, but moving on. Finally, 2025, the Gävle goat falls over, prompting me to make this video. Because statistics interest me, I wanted to calculate some percentages about the goats, so I did. I discovered that around 53% of the goats have been burnt down in total, so it's really no wonder that one year an American came to Sweden and set it on fire, or tried to set it on fire, and got arrested. He was surprised he got arrested because he was like, oh, it's just a tradition. But, you know, he got arrested because you're not supposed to go around setting giant hay goats on fire. Only 33.9 of the Gävle goats have ever survived, with the longest streak of the goats surviving being from 2017 to 2021. So that means that 4 goats in a row survived, and there has never been more than that since. In my opinion, the Gävle goat is an example of a timeless tradition that has adapted wonderfully to modern technology, despite not changing that much. What started out as simple arson has turned into decades of tomfoolery that have evolved with technology, and honestly, I can't wait to see what happens next. This shit's hilarious. Thank you so much for watching. This is my first video, so if I got anything wrong, then please let me know in the comment section. I always appreciate feedback. The hardest part of this video was trying to find sources for this, just because most of the sources were in Swedish, and this might be shocking, but I don't speak Swedish. But if this video gets 100,000 likes, then I'll try and learn some Swedish and maybe attempt to decipher an article. Anyways, I hope you have a great day, and again, thank you so much for watching. Bye!